Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Optimal Body Podcast. I'm Dr. Dom.
I'm Doc Jen.
And this is Kai.
This is DocJenFit.
DocJenFit, first podcast ever. Big moment. She hasn't talked much yet. And welcome to another year, 2022. So for this episode, we're going to kind of dedicate it to a practice that we love to do to hold ourselves accountable to new goals so that your New Year's resolutions don't just fall off. Everyone loves to make those New Year's resolutions, but how do you keep them going throughout the year and hold yourself accountable to them? Let's talk about it.
Happy New Year! We are excited to be back and talking about so many new topics as we go into the future. I mean, we've already talked about so many pains and diagnoses and things, and I'm kind of excited. We have some podcast episodes coming up about like pain when you're doing specific movements, which gets a little bit more specific rather than broad diagnoses. So I'm excited.
Maybe being able to show exercises and stuff.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're in a new home now, and we have a new gym, and we're in our new podcast studio, which will keep coming together
Very
more.
empty right now.
Except for the plants. We've got plants. We got plants, most importantly. But yeah, we're excited to mix it up a little bit in this new year and show you some new stuff. Maybe show you some movements, which you'll be able to see on the YouTube. We have YouTubes of every single PT Pearl to kind of show you the highlights of all of them. So super stoked.
So today's podcast, we've already gone over like motivation things, ways to stay healthy and build healthy habits and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. So we don't want to kick that into the new year because this isn't about a new year, new you. This is about how do we move forward each and every day.
That saying's the worst.
It really is the worst. But
I mean, it has good intention, but I just think a lot of people, new year, new you. No, don't change. Just how do you develop and grow rather than completely becoming this new person.
Or feeling like you're not worth the person you are right now.
Absolutely.
And you need to become a new person.
Yeah.
No, it's about continuing to be aware and create this evolving pattern of you throughout the years, because that's what it's all about. So what we've done is we've created a couple goals.
And I have to give Jen full credit for this, coming up with this the first time around. She gave me that journal for my birthday in 2020, right? Yeah. October of 2020. And so she started it in November of 2020. And it was our way of every month writing down some goals, both in our relationship. And this doesn't have to be something that you do with someone you're in a relationship with. Yeah. It can be with a best friend, some sort of accountability partner, a family member, brother, sister, whoever, or by yourself. If you're just wanting to write down goals and hold yourself accountable to them, we're going to tell you some of the things that we have found most effective in helping hold us to those goals and keep us accountable.
Yeah. And I will say this isn't about perfection, because we're also going to be super transparent on how good we are with keeping up with all of this. We had started doing this on like this little journal. And even through that, what we found was that, okay, we might write it down in a journal. And even this journal that looks super nice and that we love,
pretty,
right?
With all the pictures.
But you forget about what you wrote in the beginning of the month and what you're supposed to sustain all the way through.
Just gets set on a bookshelf and then it's just sitting there.
And then forgotten about.
And the goals are in there. Yeah, but life keeps going and life comes fast and furious sometimes.
So what we ended up doing, not only writing in our couple goals, but we also then have started writing them on a whiteboard that we have on our fridge. We're going to go to the fridge every day. We're going to open it up and we're going to see. And we don't write the full thing. We write like a key word that you would remember for that goal. And then we have little check mark boxes throughout the week. 3 times this week, I'm going to write 3 boxes to check off.
Because when we write goals, we try to be really a little more specific with them. I'm going to move intentionally for 30 minutes, 3 days a week. And then on the little whiteboard, we'll just write weight train 45 minutes with 3 little boxes. Right. And I usually let you write because your writing is much neater than mine.
You go into any personal development program, you learn that most of the time people are telling you, oh, in order to be this certain person, you have to have all these things. You got to do all this stuff and then you will be happy and then you'll be successful, right? But it's really about switching that completely. I'm going to choose to be happy. I'm going to do these things. And then I might have those outcomes or that house or that relationship that I wanted, but it's because I'm focusing on being rather than having first.
I want to go to the process of writing it down. And I know a lot of people don't like this practice of like writing down affirmations just to stick on a mirror, which I don't really agree with. I think sometimes there is value to just having it in front of your face at all times. And it's going to help you choose to do those things, time after time. And so we'll write them down on the whiteboard on our fridge. But even if you have a whiteboard or something in your office or at your workspace, just to be able to write those things down to say, oh, I was going to take 3 5-minute walks every day, like every day when I'm at work. It's a lot easier if it's sitting there right on your computer staring at you, so that when you have time for a break, you don't hop on your phone. You maybe get on your phone while you walk, so it's that constant reminder, but that thing that's always in your face. But I think you bring up a good point. Choosing to do the things is going to put you in the environment that you need to be in to be the person.
Let's talk about like how we set up our goals. So what we have done right in the beginning, it says each month we'll create relationship goals. So we create 3 goals within our relationship. For example, oh, very nice. For example, this can look like we are going to do breath work 5 minutes every morning together. Now, again, does that always happen every single morning? Probably not. But can we now draw the attention back to it to at least happen more so throughout the week than it used to?
One of us sees it on the fridge and says, hey, let's do 5 minutes of breath work quick, even if it's the evening or if we're sitting down at night to watch something on Netflix. Before we pop open Netflix, we get some breath work in.
Yeah.
And it's just that constant reminder to come back to that connectedness in our relationship.
Also, within each month, we come up with a word of the month. What is our intention embodying? Whether it is within us and what we want to create together or what we want to create in our environment, like what are we really focusing on? And we can give examples of some of the words we've used in the past. Adaptability. So maybe we have a lot of change happening. Completion. Maybe we know we need to complete things, breathe. Maybe we know we're stressed a lot, so.
And it's funny when you adaptability, it's like, okay, let's adapt to the new things that are happening in life. And then the next month was completion. So it's like, okay, it's great to be able to adapt, but let's make sure we complete some and then it jumps to the next month and it's like, okay, we're working so hard on completing everything. Let's make sure that we slow down and breathe for a second. I haven't even looked through it like that, but from month to month, you can maybe see how the words reflect what your previous month showed. And even thinking about our first word in November was adaptability, where coming into my birthday, there was so much change going on. We were just going through the first few months of quarantine and everything that was going on with, early COVID and stuff. And so a lot of adaptability and needing to be adaptable at that time.
And then we go into our other goals, which are more personal for us as an individual. And so we do 3 personal goals that we have for the month, and we do 3 professional goals. And personal really gets to be like you as your own human, as your own best self. Like, what are you going to do to create your best self this month?
So for example, when I'm thinking about my goals going into each month, it's truly, okay, what have I been struggling with? What are the things that have been coming up from month to month that I've noticed? Some of the things that I always notice that come up when I'm specifically if I'm stressed is I get upper back and neck pain. I can tell that I'm irritable a little bit more. I might not be sleeping as well. So towards the end of the day, I'm noticing that I'm getting more irritable. I'm getting tired. I'm falling asleep a lot more on the couch or before I can just get into a bedtime routine and go to bed. So right there, that might be one of the things that I put as my personal goal. Every night, I'm going to try to do X before I go to bed. Another goal that I like to do will be something movement related. My 3 things, I always go to our mindset, movement, and meals. So movement related stuff, I'm really bad recently at doing consistent workouts or lifts or stuff like that. So maybe that'll be one of my goals. But knowing what my strengths are, I might say, okay, I'm going to do 50 push-ups and squats in the morning and at night.
If this is something where it's like, well, I'm going to walk every day, which I've tried to do, right? Oh, I haven't been getting my steps in, so every day I'm going to take a walk. But the reality is, if I haven't been going out and taking walks very much, what is the chance that I'm going to do it every single day, right? 7 days a week. Let's also keep in mind that as you're setting these goals, you want that satisfaction of look at how I'm making improvements. So starting them small can be so powerful, so that at the end of the month, because what we do is we come back at the end of the month and check off, okay, realistically, how well did I stick to this? Or how well did we as a couple stick to these?
Yeah.
You know, and so we always reevaluate at the end of the month before we make new goals. And so you want to make sure that you're creating goals that are sustainable within your life and achievable for where you're at.
And then as soon as you're a week into the month and you realize, oh, I only did it 2 days this first week, which we've had happen. Oh, I put down this goal that I'm going to do this daily, and you do it once in the first week. It's like, what's going to keep you motivated to try doing it the rest of the month when you've already, quote, failed? Do we ever fail the goal, or are we always constantly trying to achieve those things we put down?
Which is something that we had to learn very early on. Like when I open this journal.
Yeah. What's the first one?
The first relationship goals that I see, we failed all of them. They all have 3 red X's next to them. And so we realize, maybe setting these like higher expectations, we need to drop it down even more. Like they're not even daily. But sometimes if you realize like, oh my gosh, I'm really not coming to this. So we only did it once in this whole month.
That's why the next month's word was completion.
I know, right? It was. And then we go like through our personal and professional ones, and we give like green check marks or red X marks. And you don't need to do this. Like sometimes that can mess up someone's mentality, right? Like, how am I doing? I'm failing.
I failed most of them,
But it's not about failing. It's just like, how much did I show up for myself, and where could I grow?
The process of continual assessment. And I love how we sit down and do it together, which is why I go back to some sort of accountability partner.
Huge.
Whether it's a family member, friend, sibling, whoever that you're going to do this with, so that every month you can hold yourself accountable to say like, this is what I wrote down, and here's a few areas I could have done a little better. I could have shown up a little bit more, and here's how I'm going to do that. You actually go through the actionables to say, this is what I can do.
And that's why we've talked about accountability in every podcast that we talk about, like coming into creating habits and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then that brings me to like, I as well, we moved into a new home. We got a puppy. There's been a lot of personal life stuff that's been happening. So it's created a shift in my movement as well, and my discipline in like continuing it. And I come back to, accountability for me has looked like choosing a program from our app, our Jen app platform, and actually sticking to it, because it creates this calendar on a day-to-day basis. And not that you have to do it every single day, but you're like, okay, I did day 8 last time. It's been a couple days. I'm going to do day 9, and like, even if it's not every single day, you have something that follows a day-to-day pattern that you can just show up with and go. And that's been honestly super powerful for me, because it gets my mobility, my mindfulness, my workouts all in, and it's not too stressful for my body.
And speaking of, I'm going to throw a humble plug in here. If nobody has signed up, or if anybody listening out there hasn't signed up for the waitlist to get into the new platform, the new app that we continue talking about, please go to the link in the show notes. It's just jen.health, not .com, not .anything like that. jen.health. Throw in your phone number. It'll send you a code, and then you're in the waitlist, so you can be one of the first people when we open that up to everybody to have access into that. It's going to be an incredible platform. I'll throw it out there. I really struggle to keep a consistent pattern of doing workouts or exercises, but I did like a day and a half of the shoulder program. And it's crazy. You do the right movements for a couple days and your pains feel so significantly different. Yeah. So, that's just a plug for consistent movement and having that as a goal for one of your personal goals.
And feeling a change after a day and a half. All right.
I know.
But maybe you do that a little bit more.
I was going to say, if I did it more consistently, then I would probably feel that relief a lot more consistently.
And one thing that we do want to say is like, okay, so we got married in May, and then we packed up our apartment, put it all in storage, and then went to travel for 5 months.
Are you saying this because we're going to show them?
And we bounced around a lot of different places, and we took our couple goals book with us to create goals everywhere we went, and stay accountable to each other, to a connection, to what we're doing in life.
It was at least in the suitcase.
It traveled everywhere with us. But what you can see as we come to the end of 2021 is that, there's 1 month that we filled it.
August.
1 month, and then
August.
we failed. There's no such thing as perfect. I'm going to say it. I hate the podcasts or the mentors that are saying like, you have to do this every day, and you have to show up, and you have to do this hour-long morning routine in order to be like, no, there's no one thing. There's no perfect thing. Life is going to ebb and flow, and it's about going with life.
If we're going to recap, what we do and what we could encourage you to do is find a partner, especially if it is an intimate partner. If you're in a relationship with somebody, create 3 relationship goals that are going to help you two continue to strengthen your bond, strengthen your commitment to each other, whatever that relationship might look like. And then 3 personal goals that are for you and your personal growth, and 3 professional goals, whatever you might be doing for work or your vocation. If it's a parent, if you want to become a better parent to your kids, that could go under your professional goals. And then that intentional word of the month. And that's a really good way to round out, hey, this is what I'm committing to this month. You are the person who's going to help keep me accountable to it. How are we going to try and next month, at the beginning of the month or the end of that month, come around, review this, and see what we could have done better?
Exactly. Hope you enjoyed learning about our couple goals. We actually created these little books through Blurb because I know that we're going to get questions about it. You can personalize your own journal. It's really cool to use and it's easy to create online. But if you have comments, questions, you are excited to do it, please let us know in the comments below. Like this video, subscribe, because we have so many more podcasts and education about the actual body coming at you in the new year. Okay.